welcome. We're joined here today by Kinematicdigit. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Kinematicdigit.
Okay. So he's the creator of the Jabberwocky Toolhead. We're going to be installing that today on the switch wire. We're just here a little bit early, and as such, some people aren't expecting us to be live, so they may not be filtering until a little bit for a few more minutes. If anybody is here in chat and has questions, we can field some questions before we get going on this. I know I had a question. Where'd the name Jabberwocky come from?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I'm a Lewis Carroll fan, and I think so. I'm also part of the membership of the administrative membership of the ERCF team. So we've been working on animal names and things like that, and so it just, I don't know, Jabberwocky just for some reason just jumped out at me because I was thinking of like Alice in Wonderland and, you know, the Tea Party and all the different animals that were there, the Mad Hatter and the rabbit and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And because I'm a Lewis Carroll fan, that's where Jabberwocky sort of came about as a name for me. And I thought that was cool because part of the poem talks about a blade, and Jabberwocky's is based around a cutter. So Jabberwocky to me just seemed like it made sense because the Vorpal blade.
Yeah. So fun fact. One of the commissions that I got last year, I want to say it was like last September, was to build a Vorpal sword for somebody for their Alice in Wonderland cosplay. That was a really fun one to build because they wanted it to be functional. So it had quarter 20 all thread all the way through it to bring everything all nice and tight, and then resin printed all the jewels, and then getting that ornate handguard was quite fun. Steven, Bearded Printer, welcome to the stream. How are you folks doing today? I see there's quite a few people watching that aren't chatting, and that's fine. That's fine. So let me bring in the overhead cam. So we can take a look at what all comes in this kit. And my overhead cam is going to be a little bit far away, especially for this tiny little view. So we'll turn this around. We got a few changes going on with the stream setup, and we're still, as anybody that's actually here regularly knows, we're kind of in a transition on how we're doing everything. So to start with, we've got the Nighthawk 36 toolhead board. It's going to be running this all, and then you've got your hardware kit.
Is that batch 2 that you got?
I do not know. Would there be a way to know that?
Yeah, there's a code on the, I think the bottom right-hand corner of the Jabberwocky box there.
2507.
2507. Yeah, I think that's batch 2.
Okay.
We'll know in a second once you open it up.
So inside here we've got the pancake stepper.
Yeah, that looks like it. Yeah, it's batch 2 then.
Yep.
I don't even have batch 2 yet.
We've got end stop cable, RGB cable, and dual RGB PCB. Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
So anybody that's tried to solder 2 NeoPixels that close together knows how much of a pain in the butt that can be. I've given up on some tool heads and just not even bothered. And then phase conch hot end. from, as I understand, it's got pretty decent flow on these things.
Yeah, 35 cubic millimeters per second
Oh yeah, that's pretty
on
good.
PLA.
And then some 3010 blowers. Now I'm going to ask you about this because it's the
I
number
get that
one
question.
thing that I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Why a 3010 blower for your fans?
Well, so the evolution of Jabberwocky came from initially from the mini stealth burner. So when I first initially started the design on, I started with the mini stealth burner um, by putting in sensors in it. So there is a I think it's called the bunny burner or whatever it is I published a couple of years back with the dual sensors on the mini stealth burner. Then a request came in to ask to put a cutter in it, and I worked with it many nights, and I just could not get a cutter in there. But its DNA basically is essentially it is from the mini stealth burner that's been hacked and cut apart. But I redesigned it all. Now the 3010 blower is, yes, sounds like it's really weak. So I specifically chased LDO on this point that I wanted high RPM, high static pressure fans, because I know for a fact that the high static pressure fans work very well in Honey Badger, GDS Time, Berserker, in other sizes. So if I was to get high RPM, um, high static fans in the 3010, then it should give us the same performance. And when I initially got the test units, well, first LDO said, "Yeah, we have actually quite a few different types of fans that we're going to make ourselves. They haven't been published yet at the time when we were developing this. We can send you different versions." The first concern was that it was going to be really noisy. I said, "Well, if they're high performance fans and they blow really well, I don't think people are going to be upset by the noise." So I got sent these anywhere from 13,000 to 20,000 RPM fans and started testing them. And they were a little noisy, but not nearly as noisy as I thought they were going to be. And the most important thing was that they performed. They surpassed what I was getting out of the stealth burner with the much larger fans, single fan, and it just kicked all over. The original fans that you get from Delta or any of the knockoff or the Chinese kind of clone fans out there. So yeah, I know it is going to be one of those contentious issues. For me personally, I print mostly ABS, but I did do testing with PLA and it performed fabulously. The next thing too to make these 3010 fans work was um, I've had a few years experience designing ducts as well. Um, and I based it off of a few scientific research papers that I came across that talked about the angle of which the air comes through, what is the optimal hole sizes, and in this case, I went with a circular configuration, so it came all around, and I was very, very careful to make sure that all of these pointed exactly to the point where the filament was being dropped down, and so with the dual fans combined, it just gave phenomenal performance. And really, I will not debate with people about whether or not a bigger fan is better. Yeah, bigger fans are going to be better. Proof is in the pudding. They just have to try it. And so far, almost everyone that's tested it or printed with it has said the same thing. Far surpasses anything that they've gotten out of like just a standard stealth burner.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, it's
So
a little bit of a long answer, but I hope that answered
no,
it.
no, 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 no. So you probably haven't seen any of my videos. I never actually got the video up on it. But real quick, before I go into that, these are 13,200 RPM
Correct.
brushless DC fans, 24 volts. So I recently did a whole bunch of testing because one, this the arguments back and forth about the fans on this, and then some people started calling out the fact that I wouldn't go to a different toolhead that had fans bigger than 4010s on it. So I did a whole bunch of testing, and what I found was that if you are printing fast, it does not matter. Once you get above, like, they're not the highest RPM 4010 fans available. I think they're like 12,000 RPM 4010s.
Right.
But once you get printing so fast, it doesn't matter how big your fans are, or how much air they blow, because the plastic can only dissipate heat at a certain rate, regardless of how much air is blowing across it. And by the time you get anywhere near that, your print head's halfway across the bed or all the way across the bed printing something else. So you're better off with curtain cooling if you need more cooling than you are putting more and more weight on your tool head to put bigger and bigger fans on there that don't matter because they're not blowing on the part that you just printed anyway, because your tool head's not there anymore.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that at all. I think the curtain cooling is a good way. Again, I don't want to create a debate. I know that a lot of people are. One of my first duct designs, I had a friend who is an HVAC specialist help me design it as well. So we went through a lot of that. I also done a lot of research, and I've talked to a couple of friends who are also experts in fluid dynamics. And one of the things that seem to be, I hate to say it or call out people, a common thing that I see with people talking about fans is they'll go, "Oh, I'm an HVAC expert. And I've tried all these different fans, and I think you are," they try to call you out or whatever it is, like, yeah, this is not possible, or blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that is a scientific, if there's scientific evidence on, is things called micro eddies. And the micro eddies are much different at what we call, what we're talking about, like at the size that we're talking about that's coming out of these ducts, than what's coming out of a larger HVAC system or a larger ducting system or a car, automotive. If you just look at laptops, the technology behind laptops, they use the cooling tubes, and those cooling tubes that are run from like these tiny microfans, they're able to maintain cooling on CPUs that are like enormously hot. They can run easily up to like 120 C, but they're brought down to like 70 C, so it doesn't like melt melt your table as well as melt your laptop. So, I know that it is a contentious issue. People, have asked me why it's such small fans. And, honestly, I think the only thing I can really say is that I'm not going to argue it. I'm not going to try to debate it. I think people just really need to try it. So I had my team test multiple things. We tried all sorts of different scenarios with it, and it didn't fail. It cooled what it needed to cool. And like, as you said, that's the other thing too, is keeping the tool head light. That was as much as a huge factor as possible. There is, of course, and I don't know how many people know this, there is a larger version. This is the unofficial version that is using the 4020 fans in them. This would be used for like a Rapido UHF. And this is already in the development folders on the GitHub as well. So, people requested it. I've answered it. You can get larger ones. And theoretically, we can essentially put a CPAC on it as well. So
yeah. So the options there if you want it, and I don't disagree with your decision at all. I totally agree with the size fans you're putting on this, especially. And the other thing I try to remind people of is that in the ERCF community, you're largely not printing as fast on the printers that ERCFs go on.
That's right.
Find their way onto switch wires and ender wires. and big 2.4s with 12 channel things. They're not speed printers, so the need to
Yeah,
have
we're not Visbot.
the need to have over the top cooling isn't there. You do have a 2510 hot end fan. This one is 24 volt as well.
Yep. And that runs at 50%. So at 50%, it does, like, I've looked for the minimum threshold when heat creep came in, and that little fan at 50% works perfectly fine. And you can go up higher if you need to. So that's what our configs are set for that little tiny fan.
Then we've got a bunch of extruder parts. We do have the these are the Orbiter 2.5 gears, correct? The RNC coded ones. Is that accurate?
Sorry, what is it? Let's see.
The extruder gears. They're the
Yeah, those are the
gears out
correct
of the
ones. Yep.
Orbiter 2. Out of the 2.5, right?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
RNC coded. Yeah, exactly. We originally weren't going to use those ones. We were going to use the stock of the Orbiter 2.0 gears they had, and actually they added it in there. I didn't even. I actually requested it, and LDO says, "Well, we'll use the stainless steel ones. It probably doesn't need the RNC ones, the coated ones." But then they included them, which is great. So that's a great bonus that was
Yeah.
included. So these are the 2.5 Orbiter gears.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, the RNC ones are good for your abrasive materials, your carbon fibers, your glass filled, such. Just want to take a minute, welcome Brad and Collie and Mike, Havoc. If any of you guys have questions, feel free to post them up in chat. Do the best we can to get to them. Let me go back and...
Oh, wow,
Brad
Mike, you've
says,
got 35 cubic millimeters with ASA Galaxy filament. That is impressive. And that shouldn't happen, actually. That's phenomenal.
nice. Now, I could tell you, so the thing that sold me on this tool head, and it's a feature, I mean, we're going to get to it as we build it, but the thing that sold me, I was talking to Jason at Murph, and the biggest problem I have always had with tool changers, particularly in Rage Rabbit Carrot Feeder, just because of the type of, that's the one that I try to print some PLA and stuff on, is I'll get heat creep and jams on the cold side, and then you got to rip that entire thing apart. That little latch on the side that just lets you swivel that down out of the way and get to the top of that, I love that. I was like, all right, I gotta have it.
It's funny. I mean, and that was in the early release. Some people criticized against it because I'd never had a problem. It's like, well, yeah, me too. I've never had a problem. But once you have that one time and then you have to rip the whole thing out, you definitely appreciate it.
Yep. I switched out the Dragon High Flow that was in there because that was really susceptible to it. I don't print with silk filament because it's really susceptible to it, especially when it retracts a little bit. And then, but I need to grab and see if I can pull up the, I could probably close this out. We're not going to be switching scenes on this. So let me pull up my files and pull up the manual. Bear with me for a minute. Oh, come on. No. There we go. There's it doesn't want to show me all of my iCloud drive at first for some reason.
What are you using right now, Brad, on your system that gets clogs that do that? That's a strange sounding problem. Also, while developing Jabberwocky, I pretty much looked at every bloody tool out there, and as I was designing it from the ground up, I looked at what everyone else was doing, and certainly got inspiration that way. But I also could see what problems were there and out there, and a lot of what is behind the design of Jabberwocky as well is common complaints or issues in ERCF that we saw from users that always seem to come back and point back to the toolhead as being, it's not always the toolhead. I mean, ERCF does have its challenges. Of course, the next version is supposed to fix some of those issues. But the Jabberwocky was designed to try to solve some of the problems that were fairly common with any MMU or filament changer that was running through the toolhead and causing jams.
The manual for this, that's on the GitHub, isn't it?
It is. Look for the thing that says wiki in the top bar and then click on that.
Okay. That's why. I was looking at my files.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Yeah.
Brad. Yeah, you gotta be careful about having it too hot, and then that's why if you forget to yeah. But it could possibly be um your hot end cooling fan is insufficient. I know for a fact that a lot of the stock kits that are out there, I'm not going to say the company specifically, but a lot of the cheaper companies seem to have these really cheap fans. And if you replace that hot end fan cooling, it will probably resolve at least 50, maybe 75% of your cooling the clogging problems that are caused at a hot end. Did you find it?
Yeah, I did. Like I said, I was looking in the GitHub file that I downloaded, but it's on the wiki, so there's like no manual in the
Oh yes,
in
we
the
don't we
code
don't we
download.
don't have a printed manual. Yeah, we don't. You have to go to the website. Yes.
So, it starts off with the extruder assembly. I don't have a way to put the manual up on screen, and it'd be really cluttered if I did. So, if anybody wants to follow along with the manual, there is a wiki. You can find it on Jabberwocky GitHub. If you just type in Jabberwocky Toolhead GitHub, it'll get you there. So, looks like we're starting off with some heat sets. Now, I did try to copy your colorway with this.
The classic orange and blue.
Yeah, orange and blue with the just a gray little touch on the front there. So let's go over here, grab our bag of hardware.
I chose that color scheme to for F1. That's for the GT 50. That's why the orange, blue, and gray.
I don't disapprove. If you see what the color scheme is of my Trident back there, it's orange, blue,
Oh, look at
and
that!
gray.
Yeah, there we go.
The switch wire was already being done in LDO's dark teal and starlight gray, so we were right there in a little bit of orange. Never hurt anybody. It's my favorite color, so we're gonna emulate Mr. Builds and use one of his part trays here, I think, today. So this starts off with this and this part. Now we've got 3 heat sets. I've had quite a few people asking me, when am I going to get to this? When am I going to get to this? Because it was supposed to happen already, and then the 2.4 died on me. So I had to try to get that thing up and running.
Mm-hmm.
And then I blew up the beacon probe that was on it. So I had to wait for a replacement for that to come in. All right. Let me just make this bigger. There. All right. And then
One of the other goals too is I really wanted to have as few heat sets as possible in there.
Yeah, I noticed that there's some
But, yeah.
some whatchamacallits that are going in there. Oh, they're in the extruder bag. Little
The
square
slide and
nuts.
T-nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I have
And I'm going to
noticed.
tell you, once people start... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have noticed that they get used a little bit more frequently now, especially on tool heads where you're working a lot of stuff into a really tight spot. As we're trying to shrink the tool heads and put more and more stuff in there, sensors and everything else, there's not always the ability to add another 3 millimeters to add in a heat set.
And to be honest, I mean, like I want everyone to start using these LDO T-nuts in this way. It's far superior than a heat set. It's, well, for one, it's easier to install. You just slide it in, and it doesn't strip. No matter how much you try, you'll destroy your screw before you actually strip the screw.
Somehow I have some. I must have had whatchamacallit on. Supports, because I got a bit of support inside of this hole. There we go. All right. It's like, why is there a piece of plastic in there? Yeah, that's one nice thing about the nuts that get put in there. They don't get pulled back out as easily as heat sets do.
Mm-hmm.
Penguin Makers, how's it going? Adja, how are you? Just finished building and installing yours last night. Nice. Get your first print going today. What you gonna print first? I noticed that this is even modeled for the contour of these little rolling nuts too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it is specifically shaped for it. Yeah. Hi, Shrimp Father.
Martin, how's it going? Martin's a really bad influence. Martin got me printing Nerf blasters. Now, I do have a question that I'm going to pick your brain on. Because
Absolutely.
I know you said that the assumed way for this tool head, there's no way to on the switch wire to mount the drag chain, that you're assuming umbilical. Has anybody
Yes.
worked out kind of the best method for uh,
Putting
installing
a chain on?
for how you're running that?
Oh, right, with the cable. Um, I think it's still being kind of tried out. Fizzy from Fizzy Tech is working on a version 2 of the Interwire. So he's also actively working out some of the best ways to put an umbilical on that. Um, yeah, so you are a little bit ahead of the game. Building a Jabberwocky for the Switchwire, it is definitely something that we are all actively trying to make work. Um, in an enclosed version, is a little easier because you can put the umbilical through the slot in the top of the enclosure, and then so you can feed it up from above and then down into the where the print head is located. That would be probably the most logical location for it. And um, yeah, LDO gives you a lot of cable length that you can run
Yeah,
pretty much a printer in another room.
yeah. So I was originally going to do
I
this
wonder.
switch wire without
Yeah.
the enclosure because I need a printer that
Hmm.
can print PLA. I can print
Right.
any engineering material you throw at me. You ask me to print PLA and I have a hard time. Um,
So I
but
would put like there is an umbilical arm that comes off of the. I've seen on printables one that comes off the top extension, extrusion. Sorry, and so I would probably feed the wire up above and then on through that connector. But yeah, that's. I don't know. I don't really have an answer that's easy for you to address that. It might be something I might look at and see if I can come up with a solution for you.
no, that's fine. I'm going to do the enclosure because I'm just going to do like I do for all my other printers. So I'm going to come up
Hmm.
just like you would. I'm going to run it up through the backside of
Yeah.
this uh, 30 30 extrusion through this channel, and then have it. I use command strip hooks, bend them the rest of the
Hmm.
way around, and then I use like the retractable like badge holder things. Clip that onto that command hook, then run that around the umbilical and hook it to the umbilical. So that always pulls my umbilical back out of the way. Like I put that
Right.
on the Trident and the 2.4. It's mounted on the top panel all the way at the front. Keeps the umbilical from dropping down into your build surface. You always know where it's going to go when there's slack in it. And I'm going to do the same thing on this. That's what I did on the Ender 3s that I've messed with before in the past too.
I'm going to answer a question here from um, Ad J20 was asking about the anti-squish screw. So there's actually two versions right now. There's one that that has the screw. I don't know if you can see that, has the screw on the screw head on the inside, and then the current version has it flipped around the other way, which I have on this version here. You can see that it's now on the other side, so it's easier to screw in and out. It's a valid question whether or not it's going to wear out the plastic. It shouldn't. As you can see on this one, even though this is not a fully assembled one, it's not. This is how loose it should be. It should be loose enough that I can move that pretty much with my finger. So any of that motion is very tiny. It's also the repeated motion in there is very small. It should not deform that plastic at all. Um, I mean, we've had over 20,000 hours tested on this. No one's ever reported that ever being a problem, but I'm not saying that it won't happen, but might have to come up with something if that becomes an issue. I don't know if we can add a maybe a little bit of aluminum tape or something like that there to make it last a little longer, but it has never come up as being an issue. So it's a good question though.
So you got a little install tool here for this bearing to apply even pressure, and it seems that it's even, which I might have to use here, set up to be able to put a nut in there so you can tighten that slowly in that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice little touch. I like that. Because I've broken many a prints trying to put these little bearings in these things sometimes. Or you get it in
Oh,
there
the bearing
sideways.
install tool really makes it easier.
Yeah. I'm just going to grab the driver here. See if I got it all the
One of
way
the other
in.
things I want to mention too about the design of Jabberwocky, the most of the drive, maybe it's a little secret that I'm telling everyone here. Most of the filament friction and force is pretty much on the drive side. So the guidler side, actually, this gear really does only has one job, and the only job it has is to make sure that the filament is pushed towards the drive gear and doesn't pop out. You can actually push barely. You can kind of push filament with just the drive gear alone without the without this. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it, but the way I designed it in such a way so that it could actually drive filament at the very, very, very minimal without the guidler.
Nice. Let's
Which
see.
means
No,
you shouldn't need to tension. That's another reason too that I'm saying that is that this tension screw does not need to be very tight at all. It can be pretty much completely loose almost, and it'll still work.
so I'm looking for a metal dowel. Peak sleeve. Non-threaded orbiter gear. So in your instructions here, there's a 8 by 0.5 shim, and that's crossed out. So is that shim no longer used?
Correct. If you've printed the V80 part, you don't need them anymore.
I have no idea. The V73.
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's a pretty recent thing. We need to update the guide. Jose
Okay.
will say that as well.
My printed part says V73 on it, though.
Okay, so your part, I'm talking about this part and the back plate. Are they both saying V73 on them?
Well, one says V73, one says V78. Interestingly.
Okay, so you will need the shims in there.
Okay.
Yeah, you will need those shim part. The V80 now, and it has a different bearing install tool. Now has no need for those two shims. This is to make it easier for people so they don't have to use they don't have to worry about those shims going out of alignment. It's kind of really easy to do that. So I think it's really important that that we made it so that the user wouldn't make that error. So we found that a couple of users had actually uh, damaged some gears because those shims were either out of alignment or that there's there are other fitment issues and tolerance issues that was causing that. So by removing those shims, it also makes this action not nearly as smooth, but it doesn't affect image quality at all.
This little post doesn't want to go through this bearing.
They are very snug.
Yeah. Is that something that when I tighten down, that might pull that through? Or is that something I've got to get now?
You could try flipping the bearing around, see if that helps.
Non-threaded orbiter gear. This is going to be a problem. Neither one of mine have set screws in them.
Yep, that's correct. They shouldn't have set screws in them.
Okay.
That's what LDO calls as non-threaded.
It just said the non-threaded, as if there was one of each.
Only one of each, yeah. Normally, and so this is a good question. Some people ask, can we buy or can they buy the Orbiter 2.5 upgrade kit and self-source the Jabberwocky? It is possible to do that. You can use the set screw version. You just need to take the set screw out completely. Don't have it in there. It shouldn't actually cause any problems at all. In early development, my very first one that I tested and created had one with the set screw in it, and it was taken out. Excuse me, I'll be right back. My dog is asking for water.
Yep, no worries. All right, that pushed that through. I'm actually going to tap that back the other way because that's not setting exactly where I want it.
If people are wondering too as well, this is what the Metal Gear looks like, the version of the Metal Gear. It is available from Bondtech. The only issue is that it comes in a kit. It doesn't come in. It doesn't come singularly. We're trying to convince them to sell these as individual. These are potential upgrade for some people. If you are looking at these, where I see it beneficial is if you are planning on using a even higher volumetric flow tool head and high speeds. As far as I'm concerned, this is not necessary. You don't need this, but it is something for some people, at least if they're interested in getting building the most overspec version of Jabberwocky. You can get a Metal Gear version.
It's definitely going to happen.
You can see that. Yeah, that's the difference between those two. You can see that it's metal and they put holes in it, so that way it's a little easier, lighter.
Looking for the M3x10s. I got M3x8s. M3x10s. All right. Let me take a look at chat real quick. What have I been missing? You're printing V80, Mike. Jose, welcome to the stream. Joe, welcome to the stream. Really don't want shafts press fit in the bearings. Might need sanded a little. So the purpose of a bearing is that the bearing spins. So if the shaft is pressed into the bearing, that's perfectly fine because the bearing is going to do the spinning.
Yeah, you just might not be able to ever get it out again. That's the only problem if it's press fit. It should still spin.
Yeah. I come from, so before I went out on, because of my back, I work in plastics manufacturing. Blow molding, injection molding, plastics welding.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So a lot
Thermal
of the
forming as well, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the material sciences for plastics I'm very familiar with, and all right, that's running really smooth. Now I'm going to tell you, this is the thing that I wish we would get away from on just this one particular part in general. As soon as I find them. As soon as I find them. No. So
M2 screws?
No. E-cast fittings on the
Oh,
tool
yeah.
head. So they've got metal teeth in them. And they cut into the PTFE tubing as your tool head moves around. And makes it impossible to get the PTFE tubing back out of the tool head. And the solution exists already. We've got the plastic ones that just snap down in there and then grab the PTFE tubing. Now, I understand that they don't grab as well, and if you're really ramming your filament in there to try to get it to go past, sensors or slight misalignments and stuff like that, it can pop that back out. But it can do the same thing with E-cast fittings. But I can't tell you how many times I've had to reprint Clockwork 2 mounts because it's ripped them out.
Well, I don't know if you guys can see it on this video here, but this version actually has a, let's see if I can get some shadowing there. There we go. You can see the threading on that one. This is an M10 pneumatic fitting version. So there is an actual file, so you can switch that out to using what you're talking about, a threaded pneumatic fitting. This is actually specifically designed for a different MMU in mind, which is why it has that. I don't disagree with you in that. and it's definitely an option that people can request. I haven't actually published this version of the body. My CAD files always have it available. So if it is something that people definitely are feeling that they want that more, I can certainly put that and make that available.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about the threaded version. Hold on, let me grab one. I've got one right here, actually. So,
You're talking about yeah, go ahead.
so if you can see this, it's just
Oh,
all
those.
plastic.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
are they called? Yeah, the plastic versions. Okay, yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. They've got little metal teeth in there still, but they don't seem to grab as hard and release a lot easier than the ECAS fittings with their, what is it, 12 teeth or something like that versus the 4 on this.
Yeah. And they're found on the orbiter. The orbiter uses those ones.
Does it? That might be where I
Yes,
have
the orbiter
that
uses
might
those.
be why I have
Yeah.
it sitting here.
Yeah.
Just gonna make sure that's seated all the way. All right, and then we got a magnet. I'm gonna get a little dab of super glue.
Yeah, N52 magnets, so they're nice and strong.
It's hard to get real N52 magnets right now. Every time I order them, I'm like, this is not an N52.
I ordered them from I can't remember say the name right. It's CD Lab or on Alibaba and or not Alibaba, whatever that other
AliExpress.
what's the name of that? Okay, yeah, AliExpress. Thank you. They have yeah, they're definitely N52. I've ordered them. I buy them in 100, and they're very inexpensive. They're great.
Yeah, I tend to buy them in packs of like, I don't know. Last time I bought them, I think I bought 500 of them. And I got them at, so I had ordered a small pack of like 50 or something, and they were N52. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to order a big pack. Got them. They were not. Just because I get tired of reclaiming them out of parts.
Fair enough. Well,
All
and
right.
especially if we start super gluing everything in there, then yes, then it's a bit of a pain to try
Yeah.
to take them out.
I always super glue them. So we got an M4 by 16. We got another peak sleeve for the other gear.
Yes, the peak sleeves. The 11 millimeter. They're 11 millimeters. They're if people are self-sourcing, they are impossible to find. I haven't found anybody else that has 11 millimeter.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you would go about doing that.
It is one of the things that is probably, I'm not sure if it's going to be mentioned in the chat, but it might be. Questions are going to be asked about replacement parts. There, maybe Jose, you can, I don't know if you can comment on it or not, but we're hoping to get replacement parts to distributors, and hopefully they'll have some of the more common things that need to be replaced, like fans. Or if someone loses like a peak sleeve or something like that, they're able to order something like that, a nice little replacement kit or something like that.
Steve, welcome to the chat. Good to have you. All right, so this only goes in from one side. I noticed that this part here, the version I have, is open here where the part in the picture is closed in.
Correct. We need to update that. So this version allows us to allows you to install it anytime. So it's easy to
Okay.
pop out. So when I take the thumb screw off of this just pops out.
Love it.
Whereas the old version, you actually have to take the motor off and unscrew another screw in there, and it was a bit of a pain in the ass to get out. But this one, at least now, it just pops right in there. And yeah, this was a great suggestion from one of our beta testers, and it works phenomenally well.
Yeah. So before stream, I was we were talking. I was mentioning the fact that I was having issues on my Trident. I was running filament in the bypass rather than through the box turtle, but for some reason, Orca 2.3.1 alpha was calling for tool changes and stuff like that, and overriding the box turtle with its G code. So the box turtle, even though it was programmed to ignore those, was retracting and like trying to eject filament, and it would get clogged up in the extruder, and trying to cut off that melted bit on the end of that around the filament arm inside of that wristwatch G2 was quite fun, and then having to do it several times. So I appreciate that change. I'm just going to scroll through here chat real quick, see if I've missed anything. JC Magnetics. Yeah, I actually have those saved. Kegel, somebody gave me the link to them. It might have been Jeremy, or it might have been Steve. I can't remember. Somebody gave me the link to them. All right. I've caught up in chat. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. So we got M3 by 20. And so now I don't have to follow this direction exactly as is.
Make sure you find the smiley face.
Oh, yes. Yes, there is. It's kind of appropriate for going into the fall season in orange. It looks a little bit like a jack-o'-lantern.
It does kind of. Should light that up.
So I can put this screw in now and not have to fiddle with the arm, because I can just pop that in either. And then the arm just... Hold on. I wonder if, because I've printed parts for at different times from different whatchamacallits. Well, one's 78, one's 76. They should go in here, right?
It should.
I'm having a hard time getting this to go down in there. What version is yours? Is 80? You said.
Yeah. So the body is 80, and I'm just trying to remember if there's. You may have a problem.
Yep. Yep, I do.
Because I think the Guidler. So the Guidler part. Let me just pull up this one. This one's an older version. Yeah. So there is a shoulder on the guidler, if I recall, that had to be cut out of the body. So you're using V73. You need to be using at least a minimum, I think, of V78 of the mid body, which is the one with the smiling face. That
That's
one
what
should
I've
be
got
either
is,
V78 or V80.
yeah, I've got V73, V78, V76. I got quite a mix. Like I said, I
Yeah,
printed
you got a bit of a
stuff
mix.
uh, probably a month and a half ago, and then last night I was
Yeah.
going through and making sure I hadn't missed any parts, and this mid body is one that I had missed. So I ended up with a bit of a mix. And also my files, I downloaded stuff and didn't completely replace everything because I had a few
Mhm.
files in there that I knew. No, hold on. This might work. It might just be me being an idiot. Because I'm give me 1 second here.
Anytime that I've done an update to parts, I've really tried to make sure that they were backwards compatible.
Nope,
So
this
I'm
works.
hoping that
I was putting the arm in
that
backwards.
worked. Okay. Well, that would be a problem then, yeah.
It's like,
But
then
I
why
do think
isn't
that
this
there is a little
closer?
bit of a, I think there's a little bit of a cutout in there that is different. But yeah, I really do try to make sure that everything is kind of backwards compatible as much as possible. And so I appreciate everyone sort of mentioning that. Yeah, I've been great at support and giving updates. I really don't like to put out lots of new updates on a regular basis, but yeah, even in the last 2 months, there have been at least 4 updates to the parts. We even though testing was rock solid, people still found things that could be improved. Um,
Yeah.
Even as recent as the wiring channel now found here, that is recently updated. So, well, or it's a new one. So the channel now allows the hot end to go through to the side here and up through the top instead of through the bottom and up around that way. That's a
Okay.
new improvement. That was a requested thing. People were saying, well, bamboo printers, that's how they wire it. And I agree. So this is something that we've done. This is a new change that I've made to do that. Um, there's actually a reason I did that. There's other things. I'm not saying anything yet. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but there are other things coming that may interest people at a later date. Not specific to Jabberwocky, but specific to this.
Okay, and then we've got the screw for adjusting. I call it a hard stop, but to keep the extruder from tightening down on that filament, anti-squish screw, whatever they want to call it. I'm gonna be honest. I rarely ever. I just always leave these things so that it'll squish it all at once and just adjust the tension.
So I want to bring up a point about the anti-squish. So people should know this about the anti-squish. So you'll find it in the stealth burner. It's found in the mini stealth burner. I think it's also found in the LGX. And it's also found in some of the other sort of like commercial printers. There is actually there's a fantastic reason why you should have that. When it comes to when the filament is loading through the top chamber, the if this is clamped, that anti-squish is not set open when the film is loading, that means it will hit the gears too tight. So the gears are meshed too tightly, and then that means the film is not able to engage and push its way through. By having the anti-squish, it has a little bit more room out apart. So then when it feeds in there, then it feeds in there properly, and then at the sort of the apex of the two gears there, that's where it's being squished properly, and then driving that filament down. So it is actually really important for an MMU, for box turtle, anything like that. That's the reason why it works. And it's also if you're printing TPU, you actually want it the other direction. You want it so that it is completely off. So you want it turned wound so that it clamps as tight as possible at the top. When it loads the TPU, it is going to be squished already, and it just feeds there, and that way it doesn't jam. So yeah, it does serve a really important purpose. I found it when I was looking at Stealth Burner. I thought this was the greatest thing ever, and I thought it was really important that everyone benefited from that.
So I just want to point this out because this is a pretty neat little way to do this. So it's using a bearing in here for kind of to hold your filament stable for your cutter, and that just goes in there and then slots up a little channel into place like that. So that brings us to the end of the extruder part of our journey here. Now we're on to the front cover, which we've got this little thing, and I need to find some electronics bags. Trying to push this in without it breaking anything here. I'm going to trim up this. There's a little bit of hot glue on the back of this to kind of protect everything from shorting out. I'm just going to trim down the edges of that a little bit so I can slide in there a little bit easier.
Oh, hang on a sec. Are you? That's another updated part.
Is it?
Yeah,
Little LED carrier?
the latest. Yeah, the LED carrier has been updated for the newest version of. So LDO added some glue to the back of that wiring, to that logo light. So
Yeah.
it does make it a little bit tighter putting it in there. So if you're able to wedge it in there, great. Or if you just trim it off, that's great. The new carrier now has a little more room in it, so that it compensates for that. I totally forgot that was an update that we had done,
Yeah,
a month
that's what I
ago.
was doing. I was trimming that off a little bit.
I saw the struggle there, yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm wondering if that, yeah, I think you probably have an older mount.
All right. So let's feed this through here. Is there a... Okay, yes. So there is a direction that these pins need to face.
And for your listeners and watchers, I want to say thank you for your patience and for beta testing a little bit while we do go through a bunch of the changes that we have late identified and adjusted for. So um, uh, I've also been in development for a good 3 decades of my life, and I know what it's like to go through development cycles of things. And so I don't like to try to release things too quickly, but in the case of something that like a toolhead, I just want to make sure that all the users get the most latest versions they get. So I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that has brought up the issues and mentioned them so that I could address them as quick as I can.
Yeah, don't be like me. I'm really bad about it. So we had the same conversation about ERCF the other day. I was like, where do we stand with everything? And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to download everything and reprint everything, because I got into the ERCF beta the day that, it was, asked for people to join. I downloaded it and I waited 2 weeks. I waited 2 weeks to start printing the parts. And then I got it partway built, and just because of everything else, I had to put it on the back burner, and trying to pick it up at this point to figure out what was changed, what's still the same from my files, just impossible. So just re-download it and reprint everything. I need to change the colorway on it anyway. If anybody's interested in the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder version 2.5, we will be streaming a build on that here coming up. Once this is finished and we've got the switch wire built on it and it's kind of going, we will be adding the new Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder to this. All right. Just trying to figure out how these wires kind of route here. That just slides in there like so. And you got your...
Yep, you got it.
Excellent, excellent. Look at that. I didn't even notice that these were labeled top and bottom, and I even got them in the right spot.
They are, and if you put them in the right place, it should be at the top and bottom.
All right, now we get to the cutter part.
High quality steel from whoever LDO sourced it from. We just recently had a user report 8,000 cuts on one blade before he decided to change it out. I was only expecting 2,000, 2,000 to 5,000. So that says a lot. 2,000 is about 10 prints. One of the other things that was important to me is that in the design of the blade holder was that to make sure that is easy to replace and change out that. This is very easy to replace. It's just really, you take out that screw and this whole thing pops out, and then you can change the blade. But honestly, a person should change their blade probably every 10 prints. But now we know that someone can print 40 prints on theirs and no problem at all. that's about an average of 200 changes per print. There's lots. Obviously, there's prints that are higher changes than that, but that's we figured that that's about the average color changing job.
Yeah, so when I built the Enraged Rabbit carrot feeder that's on my other switch wire, I had the hardest time finding a blade to go into the fill matrix. The blades I would get, I'd take and cut one piece of filament and it'd have a filament shaped notch taken out of the blade because
Yeah.
the blade broke right along with the filament. I found a blade that worked. It's way wider. It's way thicker, so I had to do some modification. And that blade has been in there for 1.5 years now. Last time I had a count on it, it was over 10,000 filament changes, and then I had to reflash firmware, so I have no idea what it's at now. So it can be done. But I was never able to find a small blade like this. The one that LDO included in the box turtle has been doing really well too. So. Or you did this same kind of trick I did with the fill matrix, add magnets.
I did like the spring. I hated spring.
Yep. I added a magnet to the depressor and then a grub screw into the fill matrix arm so that when it depressed, it still has the spring in it, but then that magnet holds on to that grub screw and helps pull that arm back out as the tool head goes away from it.
All right.
I've got to find this piece in my bag of parts. And we need to make sure it's the repulsive side of this.
I wish magnets were colored.
Yeah, like they were back in elementary school.
Yeah, back in elementary school. Yep, red and green.
Yeah, the old bar magnets. Or the horseshoe magnets.
The horseshoe magnets, yes.
All right, I put a little bit of glue in here.
Funny that I every now and then I see installers use these shims in tile work and all that sort of stuff, and they're shape of a horseshoe, and all I can say is that those look like magnets, and I guess I'm gating myself by remembering that. What do you mean it looks like a magnet?
Clown Hammer, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. All right, now M2 by 16.
The other reason why someone might want to have the M10 threaded is for things like this. This is a combiner that just threads right in there as well. So there are reasons for my madness. This is for another project, but yeah, this is actually set up for the exact reason for that. So there you go.
That's interesting because
What a
makes it usable
a spoiler
with
for 4 filament into this tool head.
Yeah. What is that? Is it co-print?
Not really a spoiler. It's for angry beaver. So
okay. All right.
So if users want this, let me know. This is a V80 version with the threaded M10. So I could make that available for people if they feel that they need it for something, for some reason.
Oh, somebody's always got a reason they need it.
See, some people are like, yay. Yeah, there's good reasons for it. There's a method to my madness. Right, Jose?
Oh. So let's see. We need these bearings 63 ZZ.
Those are the sensor bearings, I believe.
Okay, I was wondering. I'm just gonna grab my X-Acto knife and just make sure that this is nice and cleaned out in there.
Yeah.
Looks like there's some little detents kind of modeled in there a little bit. Is there?
Yes. Is that okay? If there are, those are to hold the bearings in there temporarily so they don't fall out while you're installing. They're only good for one-time use. On the V80, the detents are on the top and bottom now of the holes instead of on the left and right. When I first tested that with the bearings in there, they went in there once, they popped out once, and then they never worked again. So they're good for one-time use. But these ones now, you can put them in there repeatedly, pulling them in and out, and they'll stay there. So in the V80, but had a few people lose a couple of bearings, including myself. I've lost. Let me tell you, don't do this kind of build over carpet.
Recommended to add Loctite to the two motor mount screws so it doesn't come undone.
Yes.
So let me see what all we got here. So this is going to be the front. Grab the stepper motor. Jesus, I'm sorry. Okay, so M3 by 8 up at the top. Normally, and we had this discussion yesterday on my stream, normally I don't like walk through how you do these things, how to build the stuff. Just kind of hanging out as I build stuff. Got like a bunch of buds all
Mm-hmm.
hanging out in my garage together. Um, and I had a guy say to me that he's like, you never explain how to do anything. I was like, well, if it's something different or whatnot, I go, there's tons and tons of guys out there that can walk you through how to build something extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Steve's great at it. Go watch their streams for how to learn how to build something. Come watch my stream for entertainment and to hang out and just chat. All right. And I said yesterday, I was like, now we're going to have an exception to that when we build the Jabberwocky, because nobody else is building it yet. So we're going to take our time and walk through it. Yikes. There goes that bearing. All right. Now we've got the front piece, which I put right here. And so we are going to do an M3 by 12 to the top. I'm just going to route these wires to this channel here. There's
That sounds right. And yeah, 12 millimeter, I believe it is. Yep.
There's a little channel right here at the top to route your wires through.
Yep. And I put them in one at a time. It's just enough.
Yeah.
I find a 1.5 millimeter driver works really well, or a piece of filament works as well. Jose, that's 5 millimeter for you. That's an inside joke.
I'm trying to find the. I figured it was. I can venture a guess at what it's a joke about. Okay. Found the one M3 by 12. Find your M3 by 12 before you start doing this, if you're doing this at home. So you can have two hands to try to find it. All right. Now, I'm assuming that if I grab a piece of filament, I should be able to tell if these are activating. That's one. It's two. Excellent. All right.
And those were the stainless steel ones that
the stainless steel what?
screws
Screw?
that were put in there. That's this one and this one were both stainless steel screws. They're the only
on the
load-bearing
backside?
screws in the entire. Yeah, They're the only load-bearing screws that were to be installed. I hope that you got those.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that to you. Okay, good. Yeah.
And then we are looking for. Oh, you even called out to use a piece of filament to check the alignment. M3x40s and we've got one M3x40. And this is going to go through the cutting arm. Is there going to be something that goes in this channel here? Where the screw is exposed on the side that I'm missing?
Yes, that would be the hinge
Okay.
on the shroud. The lower part of the tool head will have a part that goes in there.
Okay. Those magnets really work, boy.
One thing yeah, they do. They're definitely N52 magnets.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the there was a request, and there some people had mentioned that, and you already put it in there. There's two heat sets on that particular screw that I think that you're winding in there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the one that is on the mid body is probably not necessary. One of my testers had pointed out, he's an engineer, pointed out that it could potentially cross thread when you have two heat sets in line. Um, I have not removed that from instructions or from the model design. It hasn't been an issue, but I have felt it occasionally kind of it'll squeak sometimes, and when you're assembling it, it's probably a
Yeah.
good thing that I should probably remove at some point. Is yours squeaking
Yeah, I'm having difficulty
as you're
here.
screwing it
There's,
in? Yeah,
yeah.
like it's doing it now. Yeah, I think it's squeaking a little bit. Yeah. And that's because the threads are not perfectly aligned, and they're probably just slightly out from each other and they might be cross threading, or they're just a little bit out. It's actually a good piece of advice that that either not have that installed, that it's not a necessary component. It doesn't offer any additional support. When I originally designed it, I thought I needed to have more reinforcement in that spot, but turns out after testing, it really is it just makes it squeaky when you're installing. So kind of don't need it anymore.
And then we've got M3x35s. Now, one of these is going to go into this motor mount. I'm not Loctiting this because there's a fair chance that I go back and reprint all the V80 stuff.
I figured you would be.
Yeah, it's nature's Loctite. I do have switch wires coming out the bottom. Are they supposed to come up through the top? Are all of them supposed to come up through the top? I
Yes,
can
all of them should
change
come
that.
up through the top. Oh, I see. Yeah, they're all supposed to come up through the top. Now I see that. Okay, yeah.
I'm not doing as good a job as I should be of reading all this. The instructions are very thorough. I'm just not being very thorough at reading them all.
And that's what I was saying in here. I don't know if you can see that in here. But all the wires are fed through there one by one. That's the best method, is just to use a little bit, and like that channel works really well to grab all of them, and it tucks them away nicely and hides all those wires. And I also have I know that people have requested it. I have a little bit of a mixed feeling about. I have a cover design. Part of it was designed by Hart K. He helped design the initial. I've also added a fan to cool both the extruder and the board. Again, I have mixed feelings about whether or not it makes sense, because it's having a cover without a fan definitely is adding more heat. Is it necessary? Um, Not sure. Um, I don't believe it's necessary. The current version of the Nighthawk board is supposed to be able to handle higher heats, and it runs a lot cooler than the versions before. I've had all versions of the Nighthawk boards, and personally, I've never had an overheat, but I know that there was some overheating issues early on. This version never had an issue. I've printed thousands of hours and never an issue with this board.
Now the thing that I know Steve on Saturday had an issue with his
Mhm.
Nighthawk with the version 1.5 board.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to be in this kit that I've got over here. So that's one of the things
Jose, do you have a comment on that? I believe that it's more to do with the USB adapter, and it has less to do with the actual Nighthawk board. I think that
yeah,
particular issue that you're referring to.
yeah, it is the USB adapter board that I was
Hmm.
talking about, is version 1.5.
And I
Edible
haven't actually had a
Loctite.
problem with it either.
I've been having a whole lot of issues with some stuff recently that I've been digging into, trying to find some
Mhm.
definitive answers to it. Not an LDO issue or a an issue that's really anyone's fault. Just
Mhm.
we might be using equipment beyond the limits it was intended for, kind of thing.
Possible. I think any of the listeners too is just a reminder that LDO is a fantastic company. I'm so proud and happy to be partnered with them on this project. But I'm a user, I'm a buyer, purchaser, and I just want to say that LDO has fantastic customer support. So if anyone ever has an issue with a board or anything like that, please reach out to them. They are phenomenal in replying, responding, and addressing issues.
Am I using the right screw for this? Yeah. It just doesn't seem like it's going to reach all the way back to the stepper motor.
What do you have? Is it I think it's a 45? I can't remember what the exact.
No, this is 35 I've got.
Well, that goes. It's a very long one. It's I think it's the longest. It's almost as long as the mount screws.
Yep, I see it. It's a single screw over here. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And there's only it's about. I think it's only about 2-3 millimeters that stick out for the neural standoff that's going to go right into it. Do not make that one too tight. Again, most of the screws on the tool head, or sorry, on this entire thing, do not need to be tight. The only two screws are those two stainless steel screws that are really the only ones that need to be tight. Sorry about that. My dog is
Well, you're fine. I got 3 dogs myself. I know how they are. Yeah, the 1.5 board issues is not something we're going to be getting to tonight on this stream, if not, regardless of whether or not it has those. I run into issues with that or not. That's not something we have to worry about tonight. Tonight we're just building the thing. All right. Now, check backlash on this a little bit. You run any lubricant on your
no.
gear
Do
you're
not put
running?
lubricant onto the gears. The bearings that we chose are already all they're sealed and packed already, so they were all pre-lubricated. There should be no lubrication needed in this entire build.
Oh, now we've got some standoffs. These I know are in the Nighthawk board.
The only time that I would say that lubricant could be used in the extruder gears would be if someone uses a metal drive gear. Then you would want to put lubricant on there, and that makes sense. Such as high quality machine gear lubricant. But with the plastic on metal, putting lubricant in it is not recommended.
Now you got 2 little knurled standoffs here. They're going to be in your box with your toolhead board. That's one of the nicest things about this kit that I haven't seen any other toolhead do. It comes with your toolhead board, your extruder, it's just everything you need. I really like that. I guess that this would be a good time to say thanks to our sponsors, both LDO Motors for sending over the Jabberwocky Toolhead for this build, sponsoring the filament for this switchwire build, and Fabrico for sponsoring all the little bits and bobs that I needed to get this build actually up and going. The little nickel and dime stuff was really holding this project up, and Hector's like, give me a list. Both Jason and Hector are phenomenal people.
I have to say thank you to Hector as well, and for those people who are interested, there is Hector has just sent me the 3DO nozzle cam. So the this design is already ready to accept a camera, so I'll be testing that in the next little while, and there will be I'll be publishing files so that you can figure out how to put your own nozzle camera in front of that. So really becomes the ultimate. It becomes the ultimate tool head once you have a nozzle cam in there. You're pretty much got everything covered.
I am looking for, there it is, the mount for the orbiter. So there's, your mount goes on the back. This is where we're at, by the way. So there is an optional file for this. It's a 3MF to do this logo in blue, should you choose. Then I think there's another option for this front diffuser as well, is there not?
Yes, there is. Yeah. The front diffuser, I'm not sure if there's a 3MF, but definitely the front cover is. Same thing with the lower toolhead body also has a 3MF version for multicolor.
Then we need M3x8. What's the optionally 4? Is there 4 mounting holes for the Nighthawk?
The optional. Oh yeah. So depending on when your board is, what version? I think you said you had the 1.5, but depending on what batch the production came, it might have 4 screw holes in there.
Okay.
It may have them broken off a little tab. So they're just. I don't know if you can see it on this one, but this one does not have. Yeah. So there's the extra holes right here to accept if the board still has 4 holes on it. It's not critical.
I just was reading that. I don't read the important
Jose
things.
just
I
said that
read the unimportant stuff.
Yeah, he's saying that all of them have 4 now. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, Jose just said that all 4 they have all 4 holes in it now.
Yep, there's 4 holes in this.
Oh, so you got the latest version.
Yeah. Rev C plus. That's what the package says.
Oh, okay. I don't even have that version. I've also had the 4 iterations. I think it's 4 iterations of the Fadius conch toolhead. Yeah, it's interesting through this development process that's been over uh, 18 months, almost 2 years actually. I've seen how the conch has developed and evolved to what it is now. Little minor things, just the way they build it and so forth. But yeah, it's same thing with the Nighthawk board. Being with them long enough to see it go from version 1.1 to 1.5 now, and all its iterations.
Yeah, it can be extremely interesting to see how things progress over time. Just a little changes, little quality of life changes.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, since this is all LDO, this is going to save me on one of my most hated parts of building tool heads, and that is changing out the crimp connectors on everything to the exact opposite of what I happen to have had on there at the moment.
Yeah, you were talking a little bit earlier about the things that you really appreciate about how the kit comes with everything that you need. As I was designing and working with Jason at LDO, I was really um, grateful at that, we were both seeing eye to eye on certain things, making sure that there's no crimping, um, just having everything sort of cut to length, everything ready for the user. I personally didn't want to see anyone soldering anything if that was possible, so we got everything all pre-soldered. Um, they designed the PCB lighting board specifically for this. Um, I'm still trying to convince them to do the sensor array as a PCB. Who knows? Maybe that might happen one day. But it's been a great partnership where they were able to make this kit as easy and user friendly as possible. Yeah, dollar for dollar. I think some people were saying, "Oh, this is expensive." But it's like, no, it's not even close. When you really think about it, everything is all in one kit, and it's cheaper than. It's cheaper than, like, I think the Rapido kit, like a full Rapido kit isn't, it's that's just a hot end. It doesn't include an extruder motor or anything else.
Yeah. Trying to figure out where this RGB plugs in on this.
It will be. So you can see where the end stops are. These two right there. It's right there next to the two that are stacked up and down. And in fact, that is the top and that's the bottom. That's this one right here, the RGB.
Well, this wire is not going to reach over there.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so maybe this plugs into, I bet, yep, it daisy chains
Oh,
onto,
you got the,
yes,
it daisy chains on that first, yeah.
Yep. I was like, this isn't even the right connector for anything that's on this board. That explains it. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Mm-hmm. You are.
Oh,
Jose.
and I forgot the little catch that goes on to the other side. I need to go find that and put that in. the thing that you never appreciate until you're put into the position is just how difficult it is to build something and pay attention to chat and all that other stuff when it's just you in your shop, wherever your shop may be, and it's just you building something. It's a whole lot easier to pay attention to everything and make sure you don't miss something. All right, one more time.
You're trying to entertain us as well, so.
Yeah, my stream often has some dead air on it, I won't lie. And the other thing too is just making sure that the bearings are still actuating the sensors. I tried to have music on the stream, and I was using copyright-free stuff, and I would still get copyright struck every week and have to fight it. And then 3 weeks later, they'd finally release it, but by then, it doesn't really matter. All right, now we've got one more part that mounts up here for your strain relief. Dun, dun, dun. Is this right? Yeah, this is
It
right.
looks correct, I think.
There's a little built-in support on here.
It bends towards you. Yeah, it should swivel towards you. That's correct.
I'm just gonna clean this up. And then stay. M3 by 12 flathead.
It isn't part of the documentation, but if anyone's ever needing to take the tool head completely out of the printer, if you unscrew that that screw that you're putting in right now, and unplug the tool head, then you don't need to do anything else. Like you don't have to reroute wires or anything like that. That will allow you to take the entire tool head off without. In fact, this is an example. You can see by taking off this, you can leave behind the rest of the connector, the XT30 connector with the printer, and then take this out if you need to, for whatever reason, take it out.
Nice. We're going to get there, but I've noticed that the way it mounts is very different from anything I've seen before. All right, now we need this is going to get a heat set. No, this definitely doesn't get a heat set there. This has got a nut that goes in there now. And then
is that one with a heat set or no heat set?
this one is no
didn't
heat
hear
set that the one that I have here is no heat set.
Right, okay. That was, again, another user request. They were having difficulties putting that heat set into that latch hole. I took it out and put in a slide-in T-nut, which makes it much easier.
Yeah, there's a lot of times that to get a heat set into something, you end up melting other parts of it because there's no good way to put it
Yeah.
in there. Like this one on the hot end mount is going to be a little difficult to get in there. I'm actually going to go over here and use a different heat set tool that I can kind of get in there at an angle. We'll plug that in and let that heat up for a minute. And we'll put this nut in there. So the part that we're talking about is right here on the manual. It's calling out for a heat set, and now it's using one of these rolling nuts that just slide in there, because this part here would have been very much so in the way. Get my hands to cooperate with me. There we go. Excellent. All right, let's go. With this one, I can kind of come in at an angle to it and set it down in there. Let me see if I can move this around a little bit. Nope, that definitely didn't work. I unplugged it. Oh, there we go. Lovely. Bear with me, folks. I'm trying to get you a better view of this. Now I'm going to have to refresh this. No? You going to come back to life? There we go. Now we're back to life. It's kind of my move about camera, so not exactly the most stable thing in the world. I should probably put it on a longer USB cord too. All right, so now we are looking for some LED stuff. Is there like a little screw or something that goes in to secure this?
Um, there's supposed to be, but I don't. I was just opening up a kit recently, and I didn't see that screw in there. Um, Jose, are you able to confirm or not whether or not that screw is no longer part of the kit? It will sit in there loosely in it, and once the wires will push in on that when it's inside the tool head. So yeah, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was just recently building this one the other day, and I noticed that that screw is no longer there. So yeah, I see that Mike said that he didn't see one, and it would have been a flathead, like a tiny little F. Sorry, a little flathead M. I think it was like 2 millimeters or 4 millimeters. It's really short. So I don't know
Machine
what happened to
screw
it. It was in
WHCS 2x2.
maybe a 2x2. Yeah, that sounds. Yeah.
I can't see anywhere else that this little.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yes, the machine screw. That's got to be it. So it's in its own separate bag. I'm gonna look at my kits to see if I actually have that. I had. Oh, actually, mine's a batch 1.5, I guess we'll call it. But yeah, mine's originally batch one, so I think it was missing in that. So
Ooh,
good that you
that
have
takes a
that. It's good to
tiny.
see that in that one because that is the batch two that's going out. Yeah, it's the tiniest little screw.
That's a like 1.3. I don't know if I have a 1.3 millimeter driver.
And Jose said he didn't use it. I didn't use it. It fit in there without it. Um, yeah.
All right, I do have a 1.3 millimeter driver.
Yeah, it's snug, Mike. I agree. I suppose it could affect input shaper at some point if it's not snug, but or if it's not screwed down. But honestly, the wires act like it's pressing against it and holds it in place.
Well, I found it, so I got to put it in there now. All right, and then this goes up, slides in here.
I find that so when you're doing the wiring, put all the wiring to one side. So you can just sort of give it an easy bend, make it all bend towards the right hand side. So that's towards this direction, right hand side of the build direction.
So I move the wires that way.
Yeah, move the wires that way. They're all going to go through. Let me pop out the. Yeah, make it pop out this fan. It's already in there secure. But yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, right there.
All right, so the wires are coming to the right.
Yeah, to the right.
And then we are going to. Okay. Next, install the 2510 hot end fan.
Add J20. You might have had. There was a version that was a click fit. I actually liked that version. But um, when we got the boards, the PCB boards came at a different thickness, and so readjusted it, and then it also came with that screw. So in the end, we decided that a screw fit or just the wires parsing again it was good enough. But yeah, I actually did like the click fit better. You got your camera partially covered there. There you go.
All right, so we got that. Carefully route the wires to the cable channel that will later be enclosed by the part cooling fan. Okay. So I'm assuming that
Yes, tuck that in with your finger like that.
this is going to come up and through this channel here.
Yes, correct.
And
Underneath
then,
there, yeah, in that leg there, and the parts. So then the parts cooling fan will tuck on top of it, and it will all sit in there. Now you should see there's a little bump in there inside
mhm.
the parts cooling channel there, and then there's a little bump down. That's where you want the wire to sit in there cleanly. You'll know that, and it won't hurt the wires if you put in the fan and the fan doesn't align with the hole. Then it's got some wires in the way. It should not pinch the wire. It'll just be stuck on the wire. That's all.
Now, are the RGB wires coming up through that same channel? Should I route those now?
Yes, put the RGB wires through there as well. Grab a tool here. And if anyone ever wants to remove the fan, you just take a driver, and there's a little hole there on the top of the fan there that you can just stick it in there and then just sort of give it a little bit of wedge up, and it'll wedge up to there. I'm just going to pop this out so you can see how my wires are tucked in here. I don't know if you can see that. Try to get the light.
All right, I think part of these RGB wires are going to be easier to do once these fans are actually in there.
There we go. I think let's turn it around the
Part fan
right side
one,
up here.
part fan one,
So
part
does that
fan
help?
two.
So you can see that a little bit better there. How the wire's
Yeah,
tucked in there like that.
yeah. Hold on a second. Let me see yours again real quick. Okay. So all your RGB wires are coming out the same side.
Yeah, it's all coming up through this one. I originally had it coming up through, or I had one version where I had the wires coming up this way, up around. I still prefer that all the RGB wires just come up this side. It's much cleaner. It's not as tight. I find that one of the wires are just barely reaching the board if you come up through the other side. So having them all just come out the one side is better. Yes, you're going to have to bend one of the wires the other way, but you just have to carefully bend it. You don't have to. You don't have to do a huge bend on it. I put a little bit of Captain tape on mine too as well on this fan, so it makes it a little easier to put it in. That sometimes helps when you're putting that parts cooling fan in there. Just a little tape on the edge there like that. And then you know you got it all lined up when those fins, the whole thing all lines up with that circle.
Get down in there. All right, there we go. And this one should be much easier. All right, and then we've got all that done. Now we've got a little dragon logo that goes in the front. I can't wait to see some of the custom fronts that people come up with on this.
I'm hoping to see more. I've seen a few.
So this is what I'm talking
Change
about.
them for your mood or change them for the color you're printing. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm sure people will start putting their own kind of logo in there if they've got one that can kind of be cut out.
Mm-hmm.
Seems awfully loose in mine, though.
It does sit proud.
Yeah, just the one side is like sliding out.
Oh, one side was a little out. Yeah, just give it a.
There we go. All right. Two neat T-nuts into the conch mount. Oh. Okay, I see. So we're gonna put two more T-nuts into the top of this. And then, okay, so that's an interesting way that these things mount. I have no experience with any of the bamboo stuff, so this is.
Okay, so your version, you need to pop out that wire, those two wires, so that they are sitting outside of the channel that's in that tool head.
Okay, so like that.
Correct. Yeah. Now you can insert that into the mount. Yeah, it's a little bit of a.
Okay.
It is keyed, so it can only go in one way. Yeah. So the wires should sit out towards the back, yeah, of the where the words are.
Yep. So this is what I got right now.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
And
Okay, so
then,
now you have an option of two things that you can do with this. You should have in your kit two M2 2.5 by 8 millimeter screws, and
yep.
those would go into those two little holes on the bottom of that mount there.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so that locks it in place. Once you do that, you don't need to do anything else. There, you'll see that there's two other holes on the upper portion of that mount. They are no
Mm-hmm.
longer needed.
So you're not using those where I just put in those slide-in T-nuts. You're not using those anymore.
Yeah, you don't. You can take out those slide-in T-nuts if you like. Yeah, those are no longer necessary. Um, they have been removed in this version.
Okay.
And I'm not 100% certain, but one of the things that makes Jabberwocky different than a lot of the other toolhead designs is that the hot end is actually um, hard mounted to the with one singular screw cinches it right against the slide block, which makes it I think in some of the other toolhead designs the hot end floats in the entire assembly. So if your printing is terrible or if it's slightly warped, that means that hot end is not necessarily going to be aligned perfectly. So the point of failure in this is if that mount that you're working with right now is warped, then that's the only thing that would cause it to be misaligned. Once that is installed onto the block or
Mm-hmm.
the mount block, then it should be secure. It should be 90 degrees perpendicular to the build plate. It should be accurate. Yeah.
All right. Now, can I get these back out of there because they were tight going in there? Okay.
I think there's two little holes in the bottom that you can push through from behind.
Yeah. If the hot end wasn't in there, yeah.
Yeah, I know. You got the hot end now. You got to pull the hot end out. It slides in, right? Oh, did you put the screws in? Yeah.
No. Oh, in the hot end, yeah. I put the screws in the hot end.
No biggie. It's if you've left them in there, just leave them in there. It's not the end of the world. But you can't take them out in the future.
I got them out.
You're gonna rebuild anyways. You got them out? Okay. 'Cause those little things are valuable. I love those little T-nuts.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them, but they were like one of the first iterations with the V0 kits, and they don't actually roll into
Yes.
the extrusions.
Oh, you couldn't even get them into the extrusion? Oh, okay. Yeah, because they didn't
No,
have the bevel on them?
no, they do have the bevel, but it's just like not enough to go into the extrusion. Like I have to
Oh,
take and
that's not good.
grind off the other side a little bit so that they'll roll in there all the way.
Hmm. I think the current versions are yeah, they work fine.
Yeah, it was the very first like iteration of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this
Almost
is
there.
going to.
Jose is asking, was that an LDO frame that V2 or V0 that you were working on?
Yes, yeah, it was a gray V0.2. It was the first round of kits for the 0.2. Okay, what size goes in there? I skipped M3 by 25. I blew past the step.
Looks like you're almost there, though.
I built that V0 during Nero's New Year's Eve giveaway stream, from start to finish inside of his, within the time frame of his stream. All right, and then we got some PTFE tube. That it's going to go in there, and I saw it. Yep, we got pre-cut pieces, so you don't even have to cut your. I like the fact that you guys are using Capricorn tubing. That's what I do for inside of all my hot ends. I got one little length of Capricorn tubing that I've had for years now, and I cut that. I normally chamfer the inside of this.
You can. It's not. It's not a bad idea. You can do that. And make sure, just double check the measurement too on that. We've had a couple kits in the past that there was a little bit out of spec.
Okay, so it's supposed to be.
It should be
15.
less. It should be 15 millimeters or slightly less.
Yep, like 14.5 or so.
Perfect. 14.5 is good. I think that was in build 1 that there was a couple of tubes that were just slightly cut wrong. And Mike just said that he had to trim his, and I think he had a batch 2. But yeah, there might have been a little bit of trimming that might have been needed. You made a point about so the slide-in flange bearings really sort of helped with the ability for the knife to work better. The problem that we had with the original Filometrics is that some people use nuts and some people use the heat sets. There's been all sorts of different techniques. I know that the Box Turtle crew tried to, or they have their own version, the Filometrics version. I think they use heat set nuts, or they board out heat set nuts. Anyways, that's so inconsistent. And most people were doing with M3, so they bored out this hole that was just massive. Remember, we're putting a 1.75 millimeter filament through. So instead, these flange bearings are 2.5 millimeters, which is more than plenty of room, but also still gives a little bit of a backing for the blade to press against. So you were talking about how your blades ended up with sometimes the shape of the filament. That's the reason why, because the hole was too big or it was just too loose. It was just banging around in there when you're pressing that knife against it. So there's a lot of thought that I have put into this, and I would credit Guillotine for giving me the ideas behind it, because that's exactly what I modeled it after was the French guillotine design. Is how that works.
All right, so this is pretty slick. So you got your two pieces, and that just slides in, catches on those screws, and this comes around.
Yep.
Comes down.
Perfect.
And that just locks it in like that. And that right there,
exactly,
being able to just pop that open, hinge this back, and get to your hot end, what sold me on this thing. All right, now we get to mounting it to the printer, which is part that I have a question on. So here is the part that I have. This looks like it's just going to screw onto the back of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And it slides in. There's a dovetail. Yep.
Yep, it just
Oh, no, no,
slides
no, no,
in.
no. Yeah, yes. So it does, it slides into the other part. So you'll see here, let me just bring my screen up here so I can see what I'm doing here. So you see that there is this component. So you're doing a switch wire. This is a switch wire
Yeah.
mount. This is not the latest version, but it's pretty close. So you'll find that there should be this left and right component as
Mm-hmm.
well. These need to be assembled first, and then this part slides into that.
Yeah. Now,
Oh, yes, I see. You got assembled. Yeah, perfect. Good.
and then from behind the printer, I'm just going to take and screw in the back holes here to attach
No,
this.
no, those ones will. Oh, sorry, I apologize. This, yeah, sorry, wrong order. Um, yeah, you have to assemble the gray part that I have here first, and then put
Yep.
that onto the block. Then you put this afterwards. You slide that right onto there. So that has to go on the printer first. This goes onto the printer second. After you do the, you put the screws in through here to go into the slide blocks, into the MGN, the MG12 and the MGN 12 or whatever it is, 12H, yeah, blocks.
Okay. I'm just.
Once you have that in there, then you can slide that red one on top. This red version I have on here that slides into that place, and then you mount. You can see one of the things that I also do is I recommend. I can see it here. Oops, there's it. You see, there's a little screw here.
Yeah.
Preload it into this clip, to this cleat. Because when you have this mounted on there, you can put. You're gonna have to go from behind and look for that that screw to screw it into the. That's the one that goes right into the hot end mount block and holds it in place.
Yep. So.
Like this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What now that
And
I've got it in
and
my
then you
hand
put
and
in
you're
the tube.
showing me, I
Yep,
understand now. I'm looking at it going, how in the world am I going to secure this? I was like, I know it's not flopping around like tap. Like, I was trying to figure it out with
Yeah.
just the pieces on the bench, and without a hot end assembled and without printer in front of me. So yeah, so that's Jabberwocky. I'm not going to make you sit here and hang out while I belt a printer and do all that. We'll pick that up on the next stream. We'll get it mounted to the extrusion and whatnot. I want to go back off stream and I want to reprint the latest revisions of these parts too before I get it all mounted and
Sounds
all
good.
that. I want to get the latest revisions of everything on here. But as far as fit, form, and function, you're definitely looking at it there. Just some quality of life improvements on the newest revisions of stuff, and we can definitely look and see how this is going to look on said printer, though, because I am curious myself. So I think that's going to look fantastic, especially considering the printer was already done with the filament to match the colorway for the Jabberwocky to begin with. So
Yeah.
And that wasn't even
One
planned. Like I
last
hadn't
thing I
seen
should mention.
Jabberwocky by before that. Had I picked the colors for this, so
Yeah. One thing I should mention too with the switch wire, because you are definitely on bleeding edge when it comes to the switch wire, because we just really still are developing it. But with the switch wire, those Z bars that you have there, those have to come down a touch. I think it's about 6 millimeters. They have to come down on both sides, so that way because the Jabberwocky is about 6 millimeters lower than the stealth burner, those bars will have it's the stops that are on the Z that I see there are going
yeah.
to interfere with it going all the way to the full range. So you'll find
Well,
that out when you're starting to build that.
yeah.
But those blocks have to come down
The the problem
on
with
both
that
sides, and then the
is
top blocks need to come down.
the problem you're going to run into there is you can't lower the key back any.
Oh, that's the key back. Oh, okay. Um, yeah. Okay, so you're going to I'm going to say that Fizzy is working on that, and so Fizzy Tech is working on a version. So I'm not sure what he's done to make that work there. So he's got it so his is touching the bed right now. So again, you're on the
Let's
bleeding edge of making a switch wire work with a Jabberwocky. So
yeah. Let's
we
put this
are
on
we
here
are
real quick.
actively working on making that work. Yeah,
Now this will
I
mount
think it's
up.
close. Yeah, try it with a
Ooh.
bed on there, see where it sort of comes in right now. And you would have
Yeah, I
risers
got
on that.
about.
So you might have to put risers.
Yeah, I'd have to put like damn near 25
You
millimeters
might have
of
to put taller
riser though.
risers. Yeah, it might be risers that you have to do instead.
Um,
I would rather the tool head come lower.
yeah. So
But
we could always rotate this key back and put another set of bearings on the bottom like there is at the top. Or
mhm.
yeah, I mean there's a couple different ways you could do it. Or I know there were some electronic boards there for a while that
Mhm.
and get like did motor braking for when there was no power to the steppers. It just automatically crossed the wires on your steppers.
Yeah.
I've not seen them for like 2 years though. I don't know if anybody makes them or not. But we'll get that figured out then. Also, this here is the cutter that was modeled up.
Oh yeah.
So
Mhm.
this will come across and actuate maybe no, this cutter arm's we're either gonna have to put a screw or something in the end of this because our block runs into
Is it not quite reaching it? I thought it did. Oh, the block is hitting the
yeah
right there. Okay, gotcha.
and keeps this from coming all the way over to this. So this will have to be modified.
Okay, that's an easy fix. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can fix that in another version. Oh, that's interesting because yeah, in my CAD it doesn't show that block hitting there, so
Yeah, it runs
I'll
into
have to. Oh, is this an ender wire? Oh, this is an ender wire, isn't it?
no, this is
Doesn't
a
make a
bomb
difference. It's the
switch
same
wire.
thing.
Yeah, no, this is a bomb switch wire. Well, it's a
Oh,
switch
there's a
wire
bomb. Okay,
frame. Yeah, it's everything's a switch wire thing. I've changed out some, screens and stuff like that, but nothing that affects the
right.
functionality of
Okay.
it. It's built on a switch wire frame and everything like that.
Okay, so I'll have to make that armature a little bit further out so that way it does hit that. I mean, yeah, so we are on the bleeding edge here of switch wire
Yeah, I'll get you some measurements tomorrow, because it's getting late here. I'll get you some measurements on how far over that would need to come, like with the I'll actually mount it to the thing and get some real hard measurements for you. Does anybody in chat have any questions? Jose, I'm sure you've got lots of questions. Mike, you're gonna have to post a picture in the Discord of yours all built. I want to see it. Jose, the blue is LDO dark teal. The gray is the LDO starlight gray. The orange is not the LDO filament. Jason sent me the gray and the dark teal back in like April. Unfortunately, this build took longer to get to than I expected. And then I asked him about the Jabberwocky. He's like, yeah, absolutely, I'll send it to you. And I really didn't want to go back to him and go, hey, by the way, would you mind sending me some of your orange? So I had some orange filament here, so I just used that. I would like to get the LDO orange filament because it's brighter. It's brighter. If that's what yours at Murph was printed in, it's much brighter than the orange I have.
I think it's on the ASA. It's not ABS, that the orange. That's what I have here. This is the ASA LDO orange. It's a great color. I love it.
Yeah. Orange is my favorite color. Every time I see a new orange, I buy it. I have a problem. If you want my business, you just make an orange filament. Yeah. I got who else? Somebody I saw recently had a glass-filled orange ASA I really wanted to try. I can't remember who it was. But that's neither here nor there.
Glass filled. Oh wow, that sounds, that'd be fun to play with.
Yeah, the orange filament that's on the Trident over there is glass-filled orange. It's the Fadus glass-filled ABS.
Mm-hmm.
I'm printing a whole new get-up for that for an upcoming thing. We're changing the hot end out on that. I put Hector's classified steppers on that thing, and it outruns the Rapido 2 on there, so new things on that coming up. If you're new here and you're watching, subscribe, like. Thank you for joining us and walking us through a lot of this and shining some light on things. And
yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate it. I learned a lot, and I'm sure others have as well. I know that if anybody's looking for you, you are always on the ERCF Discord.
I am.
And you're working on you're going to be working on bringing the 2.5 to complete fruition. If you'd like to come back,
that's definitely taking a lot of my time. Yeah, it's taking a lot of my time.
Yeah, if you'd like to come back at some point during that build series, you're always welcome to come back and join us for that. At any point during that, it might be
it's possible.
a little
Thank
bit.
you. Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Like I said, I want to get this going. I got to get the 2.4 back up and running because I got to get that thing printing parts. I've got stuff that only will fit on that printer. I don't have anything else that big. So I got to get that going. Yeah. Outside of that,
All
Y'all
right.
have a great night. Great rest of your week. I'll see some of y'all back here again tomorrow morning. As we I think we're gonna be doing cartographer in the morning. So have a good one.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.